Let's take a look at TrialLift, the AI legal assistant. So when you first log in, and let's go through that process now, you'll be dropped into the case dashboard. Now, the case dashboard is designed, and you can filter this by client matter number if you choose to. It'll tell you in a snapshot how many documents have been processed or documents that have been directly uploaded to TrialLift. And over here on the right, you've got some AI quick prompts. Summarize the medical history, find negligence evidence in whatever the documents that you're perusing, detect timeline gaps, assess witness credibility, or even add a custom prompt. You'll also see some smart alerts show on this screen. There's a missing deposition in a trial, new judge pattern, or a document processing task has been completed. In the documents pane is where we can actually upload documents to the TrialLift document repository, which is one place where documents are subsequently reviewed and analyzed. These documents here were all uploaded to the TrialLift document repository. There are 32 documents here. Some of them have client matter numbers assigned. If not, they can be assigned. For the most part, if this data was coming from the law firm's document management system or from case management software, it would have metadata. So this information would already be provided. But if these are files that are coming in from a different source, an email or a thumb drive, and they haven't yet been processed through the DMS or the case management software, they could be uploaded here. Document sources is where those document files are uploaded from. And for the most part, they would be coming in from a network drive, Google Drive, OneDrive, or a local drive. If they're brought in for an email, they would be saved to a local drive and then uploaded here. You just connect to one of those sources and map to it, and then you can access the files to download here. AI analysis is where we run our secret sauce, our case trial lift analysis of the available documents. Those documents, again, based on the sources, could be from TrialLift itself, which are those 32 documents here that you saw previously. It could be from the case management platform. In this case, Smart Advocate would be integrated through an API, and then you would be able to peer into and access all of the documents that pertain to a particular case, again, filtering by client matter number. Or if additionally you want access from network sources, such as your document management system, Google Workspace, SharePoint, etc. And then you run your analysis scope configuration, which essentially you can run the analysis through various different document types: PDF, PNG, JPEG, Outlook files, other email files, or text files. Once you run the analysis, after checking your files off from sources, you'll see your analysis at the bottom of this screen, which will provide you with information about, again, what may be missing data, missing testimony, or needed Aussie success, trialing this case, and what would be 3 or more case trial preparation strategies to win the case. Legal research is a way to connect to either public LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity for further research, or private LLMs. For example, if you have an instance of LM Studio, which is a software product that allows you to download small large language models inside your network on a designated drive so that the information is not exposed or shared publicly as public large language models typically do. You can select here between the different models we mentioned: ChatGPT, Anthropic, Claude, or Perplexity. Run your research query, saved in this location, Roe v. Wade, etc. And then here are the historical results. Citation validation is the newest feature in the product. And what that does it validates not through a large language model, but instead directly through a citation source, a database, a subscription service, to make sure that any citations that may be brought in from a Gen AI large language model have been completely validated to protect against hallucinatory citations as well as fake or phony citations, which have increasingly found their way into court more and more trials, only to be detected by the judge doing their job, resulting in fines, suspensions, disbarments, and a whole host of really bad outcomes in a legal case, which benefits nobody. Judicial analytics is where we basically factor in what is the judge on this case? What have his or her prior rulings been for cases of this type in nature, which of course gets baked into the strategy as well during the AI analysis. Some of the success metrics measure things like hours saved by paralegals through automating the analysis and the legal research. How many hours in attorney review that were avoided by doing the analysis and using the search criteria, and the reduction in time to readiness for the trial preparation compared to doing it the old-fashioned manual way. Export Center allows to export reports, quick templates that are generated by the application. Once all of the data has been consolidated and accessed on that particular trial, we're able to create a complete case file, ledger, medical records summary, creating a trial binder, and a deposition package. Guardrails is a very important component of TrialLift because the use of AI must always incorporate AI governance and guardrails to protect users of AI from exposing private information, HIPAA information, client-related information through a front-end query to a large language model, as well as detecting hallucinations from the large language model, as we mentioned earlier, that can result in misinformation, false information that can adversely affect the trial. All of those parameters that we set up are done from this screen. We have anti-hallucination controls, as we indicate here, imposing ethics compliance and anti-hallucination detection capability and source traceability, which basically, again, clarifies, as we did in the citation validation, against a database and a subscription service, not a large language model, that the citation is valid. Over here, you can look at some of the types of anti-hallucination rules that we just spoke about. These three here: source traceability, intellectual honesty, and the compliance frameworks that form the backbone are anti-hallucination capabilities. Rules management. These are all of the rules, all of the guardrail rules that have been set up through the application. As you can see, there are different categories of rules surrounding security, privacy, compliance, content, and custom types of rules. We presently have about a dozen or 10 different rules. These are the default rules. We can export the JSON. We can create a rule, give it a particular syntax, write the rule name, the category it's in, a description of the rule, and then the prompt or prompt instructions on how to detail and enforce the rule. And then finally, the application has what's called transparency editor, which is an opportunity for when using a large language model and receiving the output back after running it through its paces via the guardrails and hallucination analysis. It will actually put the output here for the attorney to review it, and they can actually make changes to it or modify the prompt and go through a process back and forth until they basically sign off on the information that is returned from the large language model. And again, a key factor here is, it never replaces the human element. Any data or documentation that's brought into the case trial has to be signed off by an attorney. There's no rubber stamping through AI simply because it's not a best practice and it's not a practice that fits traditional government's needs and protocols. So that is the product in a nutshell. Thanks so much for listening.